from the public library. I'm really excited to share with you today our kickoff of new Beyond Books items. And these are cake pans that we are offering for our patrons to use. There's a 1-week checkout for them. And to look them up on our catalog, you can either look at cake pans or you can look under Wilton in the search bar. So I wanted to just briefly go over what we do have to offer. We have springform pans, some of our more basic pans, bundt pans, regular pans, novelty cake pans that we also have to offer if your children are into sports, a sports t-shirt. We have the 3D sports ball cake pan. That's a really novel kind of thing. A heart pan. We also have the number 1. If your child is just turning 1, that's a great little item to have. We also have some other specialty items. We have the dinosaur, bear, and a horse. Just some really novel ideas that we are offering to our patrons just as a Beyond Book catalog item. Now we're going to explain how to use the cake tips that you'll be using for the cake pans. A good tip to have some wet paper towel. I'm a pretty messy decorator, so I like to have this just to keep my hands clean when I'm working with the cake decorating tips. Also a dry paper towel as well. And when I practice doing the tips for the decorating, I like to have a piece of wax paper that I can practice if I need to, practice the different tips on here. When I'm done, I can just wipe off the tips with either a regular spatula or an offset spatula, wipe it off, put it right back in the container, and I can reuse it again. So we'll just go over some of the basic tips here. This is a tip number 5, which is one of the tips that you can use in the cake decorating pan. I do want to mention that when you're going to be decorating with the cake decorating bag, to make sure that it is wound up tight. Pressure on here is important in order to get a good decorating tip. Make sure that your tip is clean before you use it, so we'll wipe that off. You want to squeeze from the top, not from the middle. You squeeze from the middle, it all comes out the opening of the bag. So make sure your bag is tightly wound and that you're squeezing from the top. This is your squeezing hand, this is your guiding hand. For number 5, it's just a dot. We're going to make sure that our bag is tight. We're going to apply pressure, build up, and release. Apply pressure, build up, and release. So that's the dot. We're going to go to another tip that you use, which is a number 16. It's a really small, tiny dot. I'm sorry, a small star. And that's kind of a hard one to use for me. It requires a lot of pressure. It's a really small opening in the bag. So I like to use a number 18, which is just a little bit bigger. Same principle. You're going to make sure that your bag is tight and that you're squeezing from the top. So you're going to hover just over the cake surface. You're going to squeeze and release, which is a little bit larger star, and it won't take as many squeezings to cover your cake. So again, it's just a squeeze and release. The more you squeeze, the pressure is much larger it will be. So it's going to be a squeeze and release, squeeze and release. Always tightening up your bag as you go. That's a number 18. So you can either use a number 16 or a number 18. One of the tips that wasn't mentioned is a number 32, which is this right here. It's a really pretty little star. You can just do the same techniques always, making sure your bag is tight. You're going to apply pressure. You're going to squeeze and release. This is your guide hand. This is your pressure hand, whichever is your dominant hand. You're going to squeeze and release. You can do flowers. You can do a little border. You can do a little scalloped edge. Up and over, up and over, up and over. So those are some of the examples that's a number 32. A leaf tip. I love this tip. This is a number 352, and it's one that I use a lot for when I make leaves or make flowers. I use this, and it's just a triangle, cut out triangle. You're going to again make sure you have pressure. You're going to squeeze and release. The more you squeeze, the larger your leaf will be. And let's wipe off our tip here. The more you squeeze, the larger your tip or your leaf was going to be. So let's squeeze, 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 and release. You can have a long leaf. You can have a short leaf. So that's a 352. Great to use on your cake decoratings. This is one of the larger tips. This is a 1M, and it makes beautiful decorations on your cake. Larger surface area covers it really quickly. This is a flower, so again you're going to just squeeze and release, squeeze and release. Again, this is a 1M tip. The final tip I'm going to show you is a 2D. Similar in a presentation for the 1M, but 2D is much more defined. A really pretty flower. So you can take that, you can use these as borders as well. Around, around, we'll go over here. Around, around, and that can be a border for your cake as well. So we've used these tips, but how does that apply to making our cake now? I have these cupcakes that I made earlier, and we're just going to decorate just a few of these. Again, remember, you're going to make sure that your bag is tightly wound and your pressure's from the top. So we'll take a cupcake, and this is a number 2D. We're going to start from the middle, apply pressure, wind it around, overlap just a little bit, and release. Wasn't the best. Let's try that again. Let me make sure that my bag is tight here. That might be the problem. There we go. All right, so we're going to start from the middle. We're going to apply pressure, wrap around, keep applying pressure, and release. That makes a real pretty little rosette there. If we start on the outside of the cupcake, we'll start, apply pressure. Again, we're going to wrap around, overlap, and release. Just a different look for that. That again was a 2D. Let's see what the 1M looks like. Again, make sure your bag is tight. You're applying pressure from the top, not from the middle. We'll start in the beginning. We'll start in the middle. We'll wrap it around, overlap, and release. Just a different look for the decorating. We'll start that in the middle. Let's start this on the outside. We'll apply pressure, wrap around, overlap, build that up, and release. Okay. All right, so how do we do our flowers? Our leaves. Let's make a flower actually. We'll do a flower here. We'll do a flower here. And then we'll just do just a couple little flowers. We'll apply some leaves, which is our 352 tip. Just a cute little cupcake. A little bit more of an oomph to it than just decorating with a knife. So it's something fun to try. Let's see with our number 21, we can simply apply pressure, make sure our bag is tight again. We're just going to go around these little tiny flowers just something special, just a little something special to add to your cupcake. Really simple, really easy. Again, well, let's make a little leaf on this. And you've got a really sweet little decorated cupcake that you can share with those you love. So we really appreciate that you stopped by to view our channel. And we also ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and you like our Facebook page for more videos and information.